The main tool that I really value is the learning curve quizzes. So I basically have them do those weekly, so it keeps them on track. And really, I think there's a couple things that students benefit from with those quizzes, which is number one, they get to do what's called retrieval practice. So we know from learning science that the more you pull back out of memory, things that you've put into memory, the better you're going to be able to perform with those items on a test. So it gives them lots of retrieval practice opportunities. And then in addition to that, it's also a chance for them to see test type questions. So not every item in Learning Curve will be like a test type question, but there are certainly items in there that mimic examples and applications that they'll see on test type questions. So one thing I do with the ebook content is I pull into my lecture slides some of the really nice visuals. So if I'm teaching parts of the brain, I want to build this bridge between the ebook and what's going on in lecture by showing them in lecture the same, figure of, the lobes of the cortex, for example, that they'll see when they read the book.
The biggest thing I like to use Achieve with is to kind of plan a weekly rhythm for my students, whether it's face-to-face or online, and active learning is a big part of that. I've actually found it really helpful to actually have a day at the end of the week after they've engaged in learning curve quizzes, after they've done different things with readings and lectures we've done, to have a day on like Friday, for example, where we do the role plays together in class. And so sometimes I'll have them type into the text box while we're doing them together and we'll watch the videos. Sometimes we'll just break into small groups and actually talk about the videos individually in groups and then kind of come back together. But it's been a great way to say, okay, what have we taken away from this week? What kind of concepts can we actually apply to realistic scenarios?
I find it really helpful, and it allows students to go at their own pace. The students are able to identify what they're struggling with. They're able to say, I've completed that assignment or that particular question. I know how to do that question, but then they have the confidence to ask about something that they're struggling with. And sometimes the students have so much anxiety or they don't know what to ask. So it helps them to narrow down and really focus on what they need to spend their time on.
They would do the lab, and then we would actually go ask them the same questions again. And it was one of those things where we could see gains in their learning as we did the lab. And what we found from that is if we had places where we could improve our labs, we could actually get that data very quickly. One of the things about using new technology is you can always see what it can do for you rather than just using it as people tell you to.
I'm always trying to tell them that I want them to do well in my class. And with Learning Curve, it's all carrot and no stick, is what I always say. It's a low stress experience for them. They learn the material, they get points out of it, and in the process, they feel good about it. So it's a way for me to make sure they learn, but also to do so in a relatively stress-free, positive way. So it's something I can provide them in good faith, knowing that they're not just going to be getting information, but they're also going to be coming away with it, feeling good about it.
It's very flexible. It works well with mathematical expressions, equations. It has diagrams and graphs and matching questions, a variety of types of questions that can be used. I think overall students appreciated the use of Achieve, the fact that they don't need to carry a textbook with them, the fact that you can play with diagrams, you can highlight, you can add notes and all that. There is detailed feedback, which students really like, even when you get the answer wrong. They really appreciated the user interface in terms of mathematical expressions and equations, which is very easy. So all of that make things a little bit more natural and intuitive, and easier to use and more flexible and with more options for me as the instructor.
I have taught students with sight disabilities. They have difficulty hearing things. The students can listen to the chapters, they can enlarge the text, they can highlight, notate, and it's very interactive and multimodal in that way where it speaks to students across the spectrum. It has definitely helped students, whether they have disabilities or not, be more engaged with the learning content, the content of the course, because they are able to customize their learning and reading experience.